Title: AITA for privately asking my friend about the paternity of her children. Verdict: asshole. A few years ago, something happened with one of my closest childhood friends that I still think about from time to time. For the sake of the story, I'll call her Catherine. Catherine and I grew up together. We went to the same schools, had the same friend group, and stayed close into adulthood, even as our lives started going in different directions. When she got married, I was genuinely happy for her. I liked her husband, Jude. He was funny, kind, and seemed to really love her. We were never super close, but we were friendly enough that I'd chat with him at gatherings, and we followed each other on social media. A couple of years into their marriage, Catherine got pregnant. It was a big deal because she had always wanted to be a mom, and there had been some concern about fertility issues. When she announced that she was not just pregnant, but pregnant with triplets, everyone was shocked and excited. There were baby showers, gifts, and a lot of emotional posts about how blessed they felt. Fast forward to the birth. The triplets were born healthy, which was a huge relief to everyone. I went to visit them a little while after they came home from the hospital. I remember walking into their house, seeing 3 tiny babies lined up in their bassinets, and feeling this mix of awe and curiosity. It was a lot to take in. Here's where things started to get into the territory that I'm now questioning. Catherine is lighter-skinned, and Jude is a light-skinned black man. Of the 3 babies, 2 had a similar skin tone to Jude. The third baby, though, was noticeably darker. At first, I didn't think much of it. Babies' skin tones can change. Genetics are complicated, and I'm not a scientist. But as I held them and spent more time there, I kept noticing the difference. It wasn't just a slight variation. It was pretty distinct. I want to be clear, I didn't immediately jump to cheating in my mind. But the thought did cross my mind that maybe something was off. I started wondering if Jude was really the father of all 3 kids. I know how that sounds, and I know it's not really my business, but at the time, I convinced myself that I was just being logical and looking out for him. Over the next few weeks, the thought kept nagging at me. I'd see pictures of the babies online, and the difference in skin tone still stood out. I started imagining how I would feel if I were in Jude's position, and there was even a small chance that one of the kids wasn't mine. I told myself that if I truly cared about my friend and her husband, I should at least bring it up privately, so that if there was an issue, it could be dealt with before it turned into something bigger. One day, I went over to help Catherine with the babies. At some point, Jude left to run an errand, and it was just the 2 of us in the living room while the triplets were napping. I decided that this was my chance to bring it up discreetly. I pulled her aside and told her I wanted to ask something serious. I tried to sound calm and concerned, rather than accusatory. Then I asked her, point blank, if Jude was the father of all 3 children. The reaction was immediate and intense. She didn't pause to think. She didn't laugh it off. She didn't give me a calm explanation about genetics. She just exploded. She looked at me like I had slapped her. She asked me what the hell was wrong with me, why I would even say something like that, and how I could think so little of her and her marriage. She was shaking, her voice was raised, and she was clearly hurt and furious. I tried to explain that I was just worried for her husband and that I would want someone to tell me if there was any doubt about my own future kids. That only made it worse. She told me I was completely out of line, that I was insulting her integrity as a wife and a mother, and that I needed to leave. Right then, she actually kicked me out of her house. I left feeling shocked and, honestly, a little defensive. In my mind at the time, I thought, if there's really nothing to hide, why is she reacting like this? I interpreted her anger as guilt instead of realizing how invasive and hurtful my question was. Later that day, I decided to reach out to Jude directly. I messaged him and told him that I had asked Catherine about the paternity of the kids, that she had freaked out, and that, in my opinion, he should consider getting a paternity test just to be sure. I framed it like I was doing him a favor, like I was being a good friend by bringing this up. He didn't see it that way. He responded once, basically saying that I was completely out of line, that my message was offensive and disgusting, and that I had no right to interfere in their family like that. Then he blocked me. After that, Neither of them ever reached out to me again. I was effectively cut off. At first, I told myself they were overreacting and that their extreme responses probably meant they were hiding something. I leaned on that idea for a while to justify what I had done. But as time has passed, I've started to feel more conflicted. They're still married. The kids are growing up. From what I can see from mutual friends, they seem like a stable, loving family. Now, when I think back, I feel a mix of guilt and confusion. On one hand, I still feel empathy for the idea of a person unknowingly raising a child that isn't biologically theirs. On the other hand, I can see how deeply personal and hurtful my question must have been, especially coming from someone who was supposed to be a close friend. So, was I an asshole for privately asking my friend about the paternity of her children and then telling her husband to get a paternity test?